Hello everyone, I am Avantika Kansal and you are watching New India Junction. In today's video, we are going to talk about the recent report of Capital Group which has come in July 2023, which talks about will India be the breakout emerging market this decade. So basically this report talks about the main factors basis which India is now seen as an attractive investment destination, and all that has happened due to few key highlights. So when we talk about the highlights, one is political stability which India has got over the years. Then the second key highlight is pro business reforms. Now, when we talk about the third highlight, it's infrastructure development. Our fourth key highlight is manufacturing potential. Then it talks about growing equity market. Also, it talks about investment opportunities and demographic advantages. So now when we talk about the key findings, this entire report basically has concluded that India has immense potential, especially this decade could be India's decade. And let's figure it out how they have come to this conclusion. So when we talk about the first thing is how reforms have set the stage for growth. So which basically means how reforms in India which have happened recently have set the stage for growth. So let me tell you, India now has political stability, and in 2014 when the current government was formed, they came up with a lot of reforms such as Aadhaar, which basically gave identification to each and every citizen of India. Then GST was introduced, which made trading across states very easy for the businessman, and also UPI, which in itself is a digital revolution, not just in India, but now out of India as well, abroad as well, since a lot of countries are now plugging something like UPI in their system. So here IMF has quoted this, that India is projected to become the world's third largest economy behind the US and China by 2027, which is the statement made by International Monetary Fund. It is currently the fifth largest after Japan and Germany. So in 2023, it is the fifth largest, which has the potential to grow to third largest by 2027. Now moving forward, when we talk about key reforms, we cannot miss all the reforms which have happened since 2014. So when we talk about May 2014, PM Narendra Modi became Prime Minister. Then in September 2014, Make in India campaign started, which has made and given India wings to become Atmanirbhar. Then in July 2015, Digital India Initiative was unveiled, which has become a revolution in itself in India when we talk about this in 2023. Then in March 2016, the Real Estate Regulation and Development Act, which is also known as RERA, was enacted. Then when we talk about 2016, National Digital Payment System, UPI, was launched, which in itself is a revolution, and also abroad different countries are accepting this. Then India's Parliament approved the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Act in May 2016. Then when we talk about July 2017, new nationwide tax system, GST, which is Goods and Services Tax, was came into effect, and which made businesses across states very easy for the businessmen. Then production linked incentive program was introduced in March 2020, which in itself is humongous, and it has given India a lot of edge. And in September 2020, four labor codes enacted to simplify labor laws. So these are the reforms, and when we are talking about the reforms, we definitely cannot miss PM Modi's recent visit to US, which has given India a lot of significant attention in terms of India's economy and also the kind of potential India has. So now moving forward, the report talks about the infrastructure. It talks about the infrastructure boom, which is real. And let me tell you, the government since 2014 has spent billions of money in infrastructure development, and the focus has been on roads, on railways, on airports, and on seaports. So when we talk about infrastructure, there is a very good example which is mentioned here. Not example, it's a real story, that earlier from Surat to Mumbai used to take somewhere around 12 hours, which now takes around 6 hours, which is a 170 miles drive in itself. So this was before 2014, and this is now recently that it takes 6 hours, especially when the people stop on the highways, they have their food as well. Everything put together, it takes 6 hours, and that's the kind of development which has happened in India when it comes to infrastructure. So now moving forward, tailwinds for manufacturing are getting stronger. So India now India is now focusing on Make in India, which has led to Atmanirbhar Bharat. Production linked scheme incentive has been introduced, and it has been doing well. And also India is exporting more. So everything, all these things put together has made India shift from being traders to manufacturers. And now that India is dwelling into the field of manufacturing, it is leading to a lot of more growth, a lot of more investment, a lot of more self-reliance in the economy itself. Now, moving forward, India's equity market has been growing and should evolve. So, India's equity market has been growing over years since 2014, and it has humongous potential, and it is likely to evolve even further. So here, when we talk about within the MSCI Emerging Marketing Index, which is Morgan Stanley Capital International Emerging Markets Index, India represents 14% of the composite index, behind China, which is 29%, and Taiwan, which is 16%. So it is already sitting at 14%. Now this is a very interesting graph. So India, it again talks about India's equity market, which is expanding, especially in small and mid cap space. So now let's look at the graph. This gray area talks about the companies whose net worth is $1 billion to $10 billion. Then this blue, dark blue, talks about companies' net worth, which is $10 billion to $50 billion. Then if we go here, it's sky blue is $50 billion to $100 billion. And this turquoise blue talks about more than $100 billion. So when we talk about 2010, total 26 companies exceeded $10 billion, which is here. at that point in time. Now, moving to 2020, 43 companies have exceeded $10 billion net worth, which in itself is a huge jump. And when we talk about current, which is 2023, 60 companies have exceeded $10 billion net worth. So if we compare this 2010 to 2023, the jump is almost
even more than 100%.
and that's the kind of growth which India is witnessing currently. Also, when it comes to investment opportunities, real estate is doing phenomenally well at this current point in time. Underdeveloped real estate somewhere contribute to 7% of India's GDP, which is likely to go up till 15% of India's GDP, 15% of India's GDP by 2031, which in itself is a humongous growth. Also, financials and industries are doing very well. Banking system is doing very well. People have full confidence in the banking system, and everything put together is making India a very reliable market when it comes to investment. Also, when we look at India's digital transformation, this graph in itself is very interesting. This is as on February 2023, and this graph basically talks about the immense opportunity and the immense transformation that India has witnessed in terms of digital. So when we talk about Aadhaar, 1.36 billion users are there. Then telecom subscribers, 1.25 billion. Then when we talk about internet,
692 million.
when we talk about e-commerce, 644 million. When we talk about social media, 497 million. Smartphones, 493 million. These all are users. Then UPI is 300 million, and food delivery system, which has also picked up, is 268 million. And that's the kind of digital transformation which has happened in India. Now, moving forward, the energy transition could be transformational. So here the report focuses on how India is focusing on energy transformation, especially the green hydrogen energy which India is focusing currently, and other things put together. Big companies are investing in this, and private, government plus the private companies are coming together to focus on this, because this is one of the most potential area when it comes to India's development in the next 1 decade, which is energy transition. Now, moving forward, this graph talks about unicorn and how unicorns have grown in India. So when we talk about this graph, this is data as on December 2022 in US dollar terms. So this is the data as on December 2022 in US dollar terms. So first let's look at the numbers. So India has emerged as the global unicorn stage. This is the number of unicorn by the country. So when we talk about US, currently 644 unicorns are there. When we talk about China, 172 unicorns are there. Now, India is at third number with 108 unicorn, followed by Israel and UK and Brazil. Also, when we talk about the data, a glance on Indian unicorns, $345 billion combined valuation lies with Indian unicorns. $94 billion total capital has been raised, and 60% unicorn status reached in 2021-2022. So basically, 60% of these unicorns were declared unicorns in the year 2021-2022. So basically, that's the humongous growth which India has witnessed over last 5-7 years, a decade. Now, coming to this graph, which also again talks about how reforms which we have already discussed in the previous slides. So this is a continuation of that, which talks about how reforms have helped bolster Indian stocks. So if we talk about this data is by MSCI India and MSCI Emerging Market. This is by MSCI, which is Morgan Stanley Capital International. And this is as on 30 data from 31st May 2013 to 31st May 2023, spanning around 10 years. So when we look at MSCI India, which is blue graph, it is going like this, and now it is at 109%. And when we compare it to MSCI emerging markets, which are the other markets which are emerging, it is not, it's hardly even touching 21% as on 2023. And this is a massive gap, which is shown in this graph, which in itself talks about the kind of growth which India is portraying. So everything put together. Also, one more thing, the last point is demographics. So the report has also focused on the demographics because they are the biggest advantage of India, as India is a youth oriented country. Its maximum population is youth, which is less than 35 years of age, and that is one of its biggest advantage. So if we have to sum up this report, so everything put together has been able to conclude to such an immense growth of India and such an immense potential in India's investment markets. So that's all for today's video. I hope you like this video. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe to New India Junction. This is Avantika Kansal signing off.